We talk about intermittent fasting for 8-hour windows, 6-hour windows, 12-hour windows, for all sorts of different intents and purposes. I want to start to establish a foundational protocol that all of us, any of us, can use in order to maximize your particular goal. First of the key pillars of intermittent fasting is that for the first hour after you wake up, and potentially for longer, to not ingest any food. Okay? The second major pillar that's well supported by research is that for the 2 and ideally 3 hours prior to bedtime, you also don't ingest any food or liquid calories for that matter. Two most common questions about intermittent fasting are, when is the ideal time for the eating window? Is it early in the day, the middle of the day, or later in the day? And how long should that eating window be? So from both a practical and a health perspective and a purely objective view of how intermittent fasting works and can benefit us, starting to eat each day somewhere around 10 a.m. or around noon, and then allowing a feeding window that goes until 6 or maybe 8 p.m. Learning to gauge food volume is important. Also, and depending on the kind of fats, it could mean that a given meal is digested within 3 hours versus 5 hours. So more fats might be a large meal with a lot of fats is going to take 5 or 6 hours. A smaller meal with less fat is going to be digested more quickly. Consuming calories in liquid form is going to mean that gastric emptying time is going to be faster. And then, of course, there's the glucose and the insulin aspect to it, which is that foods that lead to big, steep rises in glucose, like pure sugars, then your glucose will drop. However, if they're combined with fats, then it tends to be a more gradual rise in glucose and it's more sustained, et cetera. Fibrous foods will also create a more long-lasting, sustained release in glucose. The important thing here is to establish a feeding window that you can comfortably manage, okay? And it's very clear that one needs to provide a transition period in order for that to happen. You should allow yourself a transition period of anywhere from 1 week to 10 days in which you shift your feeding window by about an hour each day or so. And then once you establish a feeding window that feels comfortable for you and that you think you can maintain over time, that you simply maintain that feeding schedule for at least 30 days, but ideally you would do that indefinitely. Let's say, for sake of example, from noon to 8 p.m., noon to 8 p.m., Monday, noon to 8 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, noon to 8 p.m., Thursday, and so forth. But then on a Saturday, it's becoming 11 a.m.